So this is our cell phone, and pretend that this meter here is our head. Now, we're going to call the cell phone. Watch the meter. And now I go online. So now I'm talking. Now as you can see, this is what you're being exposed to all the time. The closer it gets to your ear, the more it gives. So as soon as the cell phone picks up any voice whatsoever, it'll register on the meter. And prolonged exposure, as you can see, it's not hitting into the 3 continuously. So your cell phones basically are not all that bad. Just don't use them hours on end. But on the other hand, that's not all. They have to follow a certain safety guide, which makes them safer for the user. What does not follow the safety guide and is under a completely different rule are our simple cordless phones. Now, when you hit just talk on your cordless phone, and say you have it always right next to your head, right? So let's just show you what the average handheld speaker will do to you. There you go. I am now turning my phone on to call somebody. As you can see, wow. So now speaker will be facing toward the meter, and it's off the scale. So it's somewhere into the 5 ranges, which is quite a bit above the safety limit. And I didn't even get to speakerphone yet. Many times people want to put the phone onto speaker here. And now, when people actually start talking, it'll start fluctuating and going all over the map. So when I'm actually talking to people on the speakerphone, this thing is flying right through the roof. It's going like way off the scale. So our cordless phones are very, very bad on the list. Normally, what I like to try to do is keep it an arm and a half length away from me when I'm talking to someone with a speakerphone, and I don't like to hold it close to my head, although I do because it's convenient. But every time I look at this demonstration or do a demonstration with the EMF meter, there's always quite a bit of time where I just want to keep it far away from me because it scares the hell out of me. Now as I'm getting closer to the main power core, you can see that the meter is going off the scale, and we will now switch it to 0 to 100 magnitude. So as we walk backwards, you can see exponentially that the field is tapering off. And I didn't even take all that many steps. The magnitude of the fields and the actual curve when it drops off. Coming closer again, you can see that the meter is climbing quite rapidly as I approach. Okay. We are now into the 50s. This spot is very bad. Now I'm still under the same power lines where we were by the porches. So when you look at these big heavy-duty lines, you can see the coating of rubber around them, so the shielding is actually working quite well. Let's make our way to to the ones with no shielding. So these lines, I'm quite a bit closer to them now, much further away than I was from the other lines with insulation. We're already in the high limit. Off the scale. Electrical output is almost enough to light a bulb, the fluorescent tube. It's almost the same as our Tesla lamp. So this house is in good shape, as opposed to the one down the street. A lot of lines, very good shielding. Now, as you can see, these lines are very low to the ground, but they have quite a bit of shielding. The meter is practically at nothing. I'm standing right under this power line. I'm completely under the power line. I am 1 meter away from it, and it's well within limits. So there is nothing to be afraid of with these lines. Now, as you can see, this is the thickness. And now the readings from our ever so famous cars. Off the scale. Now I'm 1 meter back, and now I'm going to go inside of the car. So we're now approaching the inside of the car while it is fired up and running. This is where one sits all the time, and the levels are okay. Getting a little closer to the dash, it's getting into the high range. And if I go further down where I'm actually sitting, I'm still in the somewhat okay limit. And as soon as you go down to where the pedals are, the floorboards, you're hovering right over the scale. And now we set the meter to the larger scale. And you can see that it's sitting at around 5. So if you're driving continuously, every day, long periods of time, you could be at risk.